Hi there, my name is Toby and I've developed a new and quite unique method of training. It's all about efficiency. How can I get the most out of my body with the least effort? And really it's about the natural movements and functions of the human body and how can we optimize them? How can we actually gain benefits whilst doing the things we have to do anyway? So I call this training body efficiency training, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the squat and in particular different foot positions for doing the squat. Now there are two main foot positions, and the first one is like this. Your feet are pointing in front parallel, and when you go down in the squat your knees bend forward in front of your feet. So that's the first position. Then the second one is your knees go apart as you go down, and this one you might call the samurai squat. So the first one, as you can see, your knees point in front and you lever forward to go down. So when you do this, you have to lean forward with your spine. And the second one, your knees are apart as you go down, but this allows you to keep a more vertical spine. So this is the main difference. Now with the first one, let me talk you through it so you can see the dynamics. First thing, you lever forward at the hips, and as you bend the knees, you're pulling the knees towards each other and trying to stretch the hips out at the sides behind and back. And this gives you a leverage. You've got to keep the belly pulled in as you go down. You're trying to lever at the hips, take the pressure off the knees and take it into the hip joint. So the knees, in order to keep them parallel, have got to pull towards each other in the front, lever in this way. The hips project backwards and out. When you pull the knees in front together, it levers the hips apart at the back. So you're feeling a stretch left and right in the hips at the back. So this is the important dynamics here, and this gives a strong structure to your legs as you go up and down. You're trying to take it in the leverage of the hips. Now for the second one, you've got to open the knees apart. So you turn toes pointing out. As you go down, you're trying to pull the knees apart, squeeze the glutes, so you're pushing the hips forward, keep the belly pulled in, and you'll see you can keep a vertical spine as you go up and down. This is a bit like ballet or a frog leg stance, a frog jumping, a jumping frog. You see, I've got a natural arch in the spine. I'm trying to keep a vertical spine, and I can go up and down because I've got more movement in the hips by opening them, levering them out in the front. Knees together, I have to lever forward. The knees bent in front. It's very difficult to keep an upright spine with this one. Well, it's impossible. You'll see it in a minute. So this one, you have to lever forward at the hips, pull the knees in towards each other, and when you do that, the hips stretch out at the back. So this is the main difference. And then of course there's going to be a third position which is halfway between these two. So your feet are halfway out. So you point your feet slightly out, your knees are going to bend in the direction of the toes slightly out. So you're opening your knees apart, projecting your hips back as well and trying to open the hips at the back, keep your belly pulled in as you squat down. So your knees are in the halfway position, you're doing a bit of both. You're pulling your knees apart, but you're also pulling them in towards each other. You're trying to create a stretch in the hips at the front and the back. You're projecting your hips to the back and trying to feel your hips stretch left and right apart at the back. And when you go down, you can lever forward. You have to lever a bit forward, but not quite so much. You can keep a slightly more vertical spine. It's halfway between the two, knees in front and knees apart. And you're trying to find a nice even stretch in the hip joints, projecting them backwards as you go down. The knees go out in the front and the hips go out at the back. And this creates a powerful stretch which allows you to bounce. It springs you up again, which is very efficient. If you can go down easily and then just bounce up, how efficient is that? It's effortless. So now try something very interesting. Try and go down. So you bend your knees over your toes in that direction. Pull your knees towards each other in the front. Try and project your hips back, but try and stay vertical. Try and keep a vertical spine and your feet flat on the floor. Try and sit down, squat down. You'll find you get to about here and you can't go any further. Your knees lock up. Your body will not allow you to go down any further with a flat foot and a vertical spine. This is a very interesting position. You'll virtually end up sitting on a chair. You squeeze the glutes tight as well, pull the belly in tight, try to squat down and you'll find you'll get to about there and you can't do it. Now be careful, it puts a lot of pressure on the knees, so do this very slowly, very carefully. But it's an interesting experiment to see how you can't keep a vertical spine with your knees bending forward. Here with the knees apart, you see you can do it. You can go all the way down. Knees knees in front, you can only get to about here. You can't go any further unless you lift the heels up. So here I'm lifting the heels up and keeping a vertical spine to go down. But you've got to be very careful with this. This puts pressure on the knees, and it's very tricky to take the pressure off the knees if you do this. So this is very advanced squatting. I'm trying to keep a vertical spine, knees going in front, and keep a vertical spine as I go down. You see it's impossible unless you lift the heels up. But this is interesting. This is to do with something I call structural isometrics. You're trying to find structures that your body will hold by itself. You see, the first one, if you keep your feet flat and you can't go down any lower, it's like you're sitting on a chair and the body structure is holding itself up. Now this is the next structure. This is the neutral stance. So you can see the neutral stance is the natural position your body forms. It's a very relaxed midpoint of movement, and your feet are apart a little bit, your hands are apart a little bit, and this just drops easily into a squat. A squat is a more collapsed version of the neutral stance. Now I suggest you go back and look at some videos about the neutral stance. I'm going to put the links up. But this is a very important stance, and this is what I think is the most efficient way of squatting, is the halfway position. Your knees just halfway out, halfway in. It allows you to go down much more easy because it's close to this neutral position, this neutral stance. When your knees are in front, it has more strength in the forward direction, so skiers use this position. When your knees are apart, it gives you more vertical control. You can keep your spine up vertical, so if you need to go down close to something, that's important. But the most efficient one is this halfway position, leading from the neutral stance down into the squat. Now, if you can't squat yet, I strongly suggest you go and look at this video here, fastest way to get the squat. And also check out the neutral stance. It's a very interesting position, and if you can understand this whole training will start making sense. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.